The dumbest bank robbery in history. Have you ever seen someone being robbed and thought to yourself, man, that guy is so dumb, if he just did this differently, he could have gotten away with it? Well, in today's video, we bring you the story of the dumbest bank robbery in American history, where the robber not only got caught, but he had all the chances to get away with it and blew them all. So let's jump right into the video. Meet David Gay, a supervisor at Loomis Fargo, a large international company that specializes in transporting money and other valuables. He was responsible for overseeing the loading and unloading of trucks, making sure that the cash was counted accurately and ensuring that the deliveries were made safely. This job might seem easy to many of us who watch the video, but it comes with its own set of difficulties and challenges, especially when you only earn a minimum wage salary. Yes, you heard me right. Despite working in a place where millions of dollars passed through his hands every day, David only earned a minimum wage of $6 an hour. David worked hard at his job, but it wasn't enough for him to make ends meet. He was struggling financially. In fact, his situation was getting worse with each passing day. Because the more money he handled, the more he saw how little he earned compared to what he was responsible for. And if that wasn't bad enough, he was also getting increasingly unhappy with his personal life. He was married, but his wife Donna left him. He became depressed, angry, and started drinking heavily. David's boss noticed his frequent tardiness and absenteeism, and called him into the office to talk about his lackluster performance. It was here that they discovered that David was underpaid. They tried to make amends with him by promising to pay him more, but it was too little and too late. David had already hatched a plan to steal a huge sum of money from the company. Loomis Fargo was a well-guarded company, and their vans were filled with security measures such as GPS tracking, surveillance cameras, and panic buttons. However, David knew exactly how to circumvent all of these security features. On October 4, 1997, David informed his co-workers that he was feeling unwell and asked them to cover his shift. No one questioned his sudden absence from work, because they assumed that he needed to take a sick leave. When he returned to the office later that day, he disabled the security cameras and proceeded to the loading dock where the cash van was parked. With the help of two accomplices, Kevin and Michelle, who he had recruited prior to this day, the trio managed to load 18 bags of cash into Kevin's car. But this was just the beginning. After finishing his shift, David drove the getaway car while Kevin transported the money. Their plan was to divide the stolen cash between themselves. But before they could do so, they ran into an unexpected problem. During the journey, David decided to stop at a motel to rest. But this turned out to be a huge mistake. The next morning they discovered that their loot was nowhere to be found. David searched frantically and eventually found the bags abandoned on the side of the road in the woods. He quickly called Kevin and informed him of the situation. They both raced to the spot and realized that their stupid actions had resulted in a massive loss for Loomis Fargo in total. The thieves had stolen nearly $18 million in cash. The FBI launched a massive manhunt to find the thieves. The investigation revealed that the abandoned cash van belonged to Loomis Fargo, and that it was worth $4 million. This prompted the FBI to issue an all-points bulletin to apprehend David and his accomplices. Federal agents tracked down the trio and found David hiding in a hotel room in Charlotte, North Carolina. When the police raided the room, they discovered $300,000 in cash, along with several key pieces of evidence, including a loaded pistol, ammunition, and a ski mask. These items provided concrete evidence linking David to the crime scene. But when the FBI finally apprehended him, they were shocked by what they found in his hotel room. Instead of finding a desperate criminal who had stolen millions of dollars from his employer, they found a man who seemed completely unfazed by his actions. He calmly sipped a cup of coffee as if nothing had happened. When they confronted him with the evidence, he didn't resist arrest or even try to negotiate a plea bargain. He simply accepted his fate and went along with the authorities without putting up a fight. It was as if he was tired of his life and wanted to be caught. But why would someone who had just stolen $18 million not try to escape or hide? The answer was revealed during the trial when it came out that David had intended to flee to Mexico. With approximately $200,000 in cash, he believed that he could easily cross the border with this amount, since it was below the legal limit of $100,000 per person allowed at the time. He had been planning this meticulously and even practiced driving across the border to ensure that he could do it successfully. However, his plans fell apart when his accomplice, Kevin, informed him that the stolen money was missing. This meant that David had to settle for less than his target amount and use whatever he had to escape. The FBI was baffled by this revelation, because it was unlike anything they had ever encountered before. A bank robber who stole millions of dollars and planned to flee with just a small fraction of the loot. It seemed ridiculous and unbelievable, but it was the truth. David's decision to settle for less than his target amount was probably influenced by his desperation. He was a family man with 2 children to support, and he had been struggling financially for a long time. Stealing $18 million was not an impulsive decision. He had carefully planned it and knew exactly what he was getting himself into. However, when things didn't go according to plan and he lost a significant portion of the money, he panicked and decided to flee with whatever he had. The FBI was still baffled by the case, but it gave them a lead to track down David. They used the $300,000 found in his hotel room to build a strong case against him, but they couldn't help but wonder why he had chosen to steal from his employer rather than targeting a bank directly. This raised questions about his state of mind and whether he had been planning this for a long time. Was he simply desperate for money, or was there something more sinister at play? The answers to these questions were revealed during the trial. David confessed to the crime and pleaded guilty to armed robbery, which carried a mandatory sentence of 15 years in prison. As for his accomplices, Kevin and Michelle, they received lesser sentences for their involvement in the crime. David spent 11 years in prison before being released in 2008. Since then, he has kept a low profile and stayed away from the media spotlight. His story serves as a reminder that desperation can drive people to do extraordinary things, but it doesn't justify their actions. It was the largest cash theft in American history, but it's not the largest money heist. That record is held by a group of Iranian bank employees who stole $6.7 billion in 2017. If you want to hear about how they pulled off this insane heist, then stay tuned for our next video on the dumbest bank robbery in history. We hope you enjoyed this thrilling account of the largest cash theft in American history. If you like similar content, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Your support means everything to us, and we promise to keep bringing you the most exciting stories from around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.